We're going to welcome Ball State University here tomorrow night into Cintas Center. There's a lot of Xavier connections with their program, starting with their head coach, James Whitford. He's a tremendous coach. I had a chance to work with James my first year here at Xavier University. James was an assistant coach here for several years. Then he went out to Arizona with Sean Miller. And then he became the head coach at Ball State. So, known James, he's a dear friend of mine, terrific coach. So he's very familiar with our program and obviously being here in Cintas Center. Then we also got Ben Botts, who's an assistant coach at Ball State University, who Ben got his start in the business here at Xavier as a graduate assistant. Does a tremendous job. He's a great young coach. He's got a very bright future. And then Bill Comar, who's the director of basketball operations at Ball State, used to be the ops guy here under Thad Matta and Sean Miller. So a lot of Xavier connections, in this game. The thing that I would say about Ball State is they play really fast. They shoot the ball extremely well. They try to space you out, 4 out, 1 in, 5 out, try to drive, kick, try to get the ball really moving. We have to do a great job of keeping them off the three-point line, make them finish over our length around the rim. And then on the other end, we have to really move the ball and play inside out, via drives, post-ups, and on the offensive glass. But we're excited to get back out here and continue to kind of finish up our non-conference schedule.
Coach, you've got a very veteran team, and, for the most part this season, you guys have been engaged and ready to play each night. I would imagine that having a veteran team sort of lends itself to not looking ahead or not looking too much in the past, but being focused on the game that's necessary.
Yeah, I got asked a question last night at the radio show. I think Byron Larkin was the one who asked. He said, "Are you guys going to have a letdown almost, against Ball State coming off of a win at Oklahoma State? You got the shootout on Saturday." And it's like I told him, we prepare for every game the same. We really do. I mean, I've watched every game that Ball State's played this year. We have a great game plan. Danny Peters got the scout, done a great job preparing our guys. Our guys have had a couple of really good days of prep. We go over personnel, we go over their actions. We have a mature group. It starts with Paul, Jack Nungy, guys that have been in college basketball for a long time. They understand the importance of every game. One game's not more important than any other. I mean, it's just not. And, we got to get this one here. That's the only game. The most important game is the one right in front of you, and that's Ball State.
And you sort of look at this game, and you mentioned Ball State's ability to sort of burn you on the three-point line. I think they shoot 42% as a team, and they're averaging like 10 threes a game. So that's obviously, as you mentioned, something that you have to navigate. But on the flip side, it looks like you guys might have a real advantage around the basket in this game. And you mentioned playing inside out. Is Ball State going to be a team defensively that really packs it in and tries to take that away from you? Is that what you're expecting?
Yes, they're going to be a pack line defensive team, man-to-man. They're going to keep it very, very, very tight. So we got to move it, before we attack the paint. I think that's incredibly important. If we try to drive the ball or post the ball on the first side of the floor offensively, I think it'll be a long night for us. It'll feel weird. It'll feel sticky. You got to get them moving a little bit, screen them, and then kind of play inside out. I think that's how you got to be able to attack Ball State.
Obviously, one of the things that came out of the Oklahoma State game was going zone in the second half and how well it worked, really. And I know you mentioned that you guys practice that every day, but what does it do for you between your ears when, like, something that you've only ever practiced, you finally put it into play and it works? I would imagine that that's a good feeling, knowing that, hey, we have multiple defenses that we can maybe depend on depending on the matchup.
Yeah, I think we could be a really good zone team, Adam. I think just with our length and our size, when we do play big, when you play Zach Freemantle at the 4, and whether you have Deontay or Jack in there at the 5, we're big. And Paul's got those arms. I mean, he's got almost a 7-foot wingspan from a guard spot. You got Colby, who's big. Jerome's big and long. Nate's long. We got long dudes. So I think we could be a really good zone team. And it's nice to be able to kind of throw teams off balance, right? So they can't just get you can't just pitch a fastball the entire game. You could throw a changeup every once in a while. Our identity is still going to be man-to-man, but we will definitely be sprinkling in some zone every game.
Looking at NCAA stats for what they're worth this early, Colby Jones is fourth in the country in offensive rebounds per game as a 6'5" wing rover. I mean, that's pretty unusual.
Yeah, it is. He just has a great knack for rebounding. If you watch a lot of his offensive rebounds, he's always running in from the perimeter, which I think that's a hard block out to make, right? But he also does a great job of using his body. He carves out space. He'll almost block out the team that should be blocking him out, right? He uses his body, he'll wedge him underneath. So he understands all the tactics that it takes on the offensive rebounding end, and he's just got a nose for the ball. And he's always had that, since he was in high school, first time I saw him play.
That running in from the wing and going for the long rebounds, that's sort of like a Villanova thing.
Yeah, you think about Villanova. I know we've competed against them a lot over the years, and man, you think of guys like Josh Hart running in there, the offensive rebound. You think Eric Paschal. It's a hard block out. I mean, it really is. And when you got a guy that has a knack for the ball like Colby, man, he's just really dangerous on the glass.
You mentioned that the big lineup where you had, I think, Nunji and Zach, and then Colby and a couple guards. That was it was a small sample size, but that was sort of the point where you really took over the game. That's an interesting. I mean, is it too small to make a big judgment there? Or?
Well, I think those guys are really good players, Andy. Zach's still trying to get back into form. I thought this was the best practice by far he's had today. And he looked like the old Zach a little bit. The rust starting to come off. And it's going to happen for him. And he's a tremendous player. And we got to find ways to get him on the floor, whether that's with Jack, Colby, playing him at the 5 some as well. We're kind of playing him all over the floor, kind of explore some mismatches, because I think that's what Zach can be. How are you going to guard his ball screens? How are you going to guard him in the post? Whether he's at the 4, it's different when he's at the 4 than he is the 5, and vice versa. So we have a lot of different ways we can play, but I thought the big lineup that you're talking about was really good for us against Oklahoma State.
And that group offensively made some great little inside passing plays that, like in the first half, there weren't hardly any assists. I mean, your team was not really, the ball wasn't moving that well.
I agree. I thought we settled for some early contested shots as well in the first half against Oklahoma State. Second half, we didn't. We took good shots. Our ball moved. But all those guys are skilled, and that's what allows those guys. I think it's hard to play two bigs together when they're not skilled, right? Now all of a sudden, if one of them can be skilled, then you can make it work, right? Now, if you have two skilled bigs out there, man, you can do a lot of things and be really, really, really creative. And I think our skill set up front is going to give us an ability to get very creative on the offensive end moving forward.
Were you satisfied with your press break? I mean, they're really manic and long, and I mean, there couldn't be too many more good pressing teams than those guys.
They were really aggressive. They were even more aggressive against us. And I think to start the game, we started off pretty well, on a pretty good foot, and then they really tried to turn up the heat. And they did it the rest of the game. And so they got as long of players and as athletic as anybody will play all year. So I thought overall it was pretty good. I always say in press offense, you want to have 3 options always, right? You want to have what we call sideline option. You want to have a middle option. You want to have a crackback. You got to have 3 options at all times, even after the first trap, just because they may trap again, right? And I thought we did a pretty good job overall of it.
Just overall, looking back at the Gavitt games and your performance in the Big East, Big 12 battle, I think you're a composite 6-1 with like 3 road wins. That's got to give you some happiness or whatever.
Yeah, we love those challenges. I think, again, I always say anytime you can get the Big East to go against the Big 10, Big East to go against the Big 12. I mean, it's great for all the leagues, and it gives us great games. We've played at Michigan, we've played at Wisconsin, played at TCU, at Oklahoma State. We've had Ohio State here this year, gotten Wisconsin in here, Oklahoma. Those are great brands, great names, great programs, and just great opportunities for us to get quad 1 wins, which we got at Oklahoma State on Sunday.
First release of the NCAA NET, your 30th, I think, with 3 quad 1s, and only Purdue has 3 quad 1s. I mean, that's not a bad place to be on December 7th or whatever.
No, it's good, man. I think those net numbers will work themselves out. I do wish there was more transparency from the NCAA, exactly what the heck this formula is, to guide everybody. it only makes sense to give that, right? It can be frustrating because I think we're one of only 2 teams in the country to have 3 quad 1 wins at this point in the season, and I think the other team is number 1 in the net, right?
Yep.
We don't have any bad losses. I think we our losses to a quad 1 team, right? Top 20 team in the net. How are we 30? I have no idea. I mean, I know there's efficiency numbers in there too and all sorts of stuff, but I see teams that have played basically all quad 4 games that are ranked top 10 in the net. Top 10. I mean, I don't know. Listen, we're going to focus on the things that we can control, though, right? And because it'll bear itself out over time. We got a lot of great opportunities, obviously, in Big East play here to finish up non-conference. We got some great opportunities to get some quality wins again, and I think the rest of it will take care of itself. But I do wish there was just a little bit more transparency.
Not to beat a dead horse here, but CBS put up some kind of mock-up of the net before the official release, and maybe they just didn't update their number. You were 62 before the Oklahoma State game. It didn't seem to make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, we won't pay attention to that one.
Yeah, I think they dropped an algorithm on that one or something. Jeez.